But you know what, let me just say this right now. Many times, number 10 comes in and wrecks shop, because you never know what's going to happen. Let's end it out right, you guys. Big, huge round of applause for our final storyteller tonight. She won Blunders right here in Detroit. Her name is Sarah Feldman.
So when I was 22, this absolutely amazing thing happened to me. I got my first real-life grown-up boyfriend. I mean, like, I graduated from college and I got my first real grown-up job, but my first real grown-up boyfriend, John was older than I was, and he was a writer. Like, mostly he was a barista, but also he was a writer. And he liked to listen for deep meaning and lyrics, so he would want to hold my hand while we listened to Depeche Mode songs that I'd never heard of before. And we would think about love and how it meant to us. And John let me spend the night and cuddle even when I had my period. So I pretty much knew that it was love right off the bat. And I knew that he was way too good for me. So about 6 months into dating John, he decided he was going to give me his house key. And I knew, like, I had seen this on Sex and the City, so getting a house key. Mr. Big did not do that, but Aiden did. And I knew it was a really big deal. And it also, like, it wasn't so much his house, it was his friend's house that he lived in for free while he was making lattes. That's okay, because it was still, like, a huge deal. He gave me his key, and I had it. And I knew that I had to prove that I deserved that key, that I was key worthy. And so I thought about it for a while, and I was like, God, how do I prove that I'm worthy of this key? I mean, after I get the key, then I move in, and then we'll get married, and I'm set. Barista incomes will support you both. And so I thought about it for a while, and I decided that what I was going to do was I was going to do John's laundry and make him dinner. Because, like, what 30-year-old guy wants a blowjob, right? They all want housekeeping and dinner. So, I spent the night at my house. I knew that Saturday morning, I knew that he had a shift at the coffee shop, so he would not be home writing poems. I knew that he was going to be working. So I got in my car, and I drove over to his house, and this was the first time that I had used the key all by myself. Like, the edges were still all sharp, and it was really shiny, fresh from the hardware store. I got there, and I parked my car, and I walked up to his house, and I put the key in the door, all like, yeah, this is my boyfriend's house, whatever, we're adults. And I slide the key in, and it sticks. And I go to turn, and it's stuck in the door, and my key, my future wife key, does not work in the house. And so it doesn't really occur to me that this could have been on purpose. And I just think, like, oh my God, this stupid door is keeping me from getting in. But I'm a problem solver by nature, and so I was not going to let that door lock ruin me. It was not going to screw with my plans. Fuck that door. And so I walked around to the side of the house where I knew there was a window. And I thought, like, no, I have my plan in place. I'm going to surprise him with some clean, fresh laundry and a blueberry pie. And I had my groceries in the car. I left him there. I left the keys stuck in the door where they were. And I walked around to the side of the house, I got a branch, and I kind of shoved the window up a little bit just so I could get a grip, and I jumped up and got my hands up there. And I kind of army crawled up the wall, and I threw my one leg over, and I managed to flip myself into the window like a champ. And I ducked and rolled across the floor, and I was on it. My plan continued. So I was like down in the basement, doing his laundry, smelling like that good fabric softener smell that smelled kind of how he smelled, and so it was really romantic. And all of a sudden I heard this pounding on the door upstairs. I was like, well, that's weird, right? Like, he's not supposed to be home. I don't really know who's there. And I hear it continue, the pounding on the door and the shouting. So I'm like, all right, everybody's interrupting my plan today. First the door lock, now whatever's at the door. I walk upstairs, and I see some flashing lights. And I realized that the pounding on the door, it's actually the 4 police officers from the 2 cars that are parked outside. So the heat has arrived to apprehend the dangerous intruder, me. And I walk out the door, and and the one lady officer is trying to like politely pat me down, while the male officer questions me as to what I'm doing there and why I felt the need to go through the window to do that. And I find myself looking another human being in the eye and explaining like, yeah, no, I'm here, I broke in to do my boyfriend's laundry, and also I'm gonna make him a pie later. And I think what the police officer actually heard was, I've broken into my ex-boyfriend's house to steal his dirty underwear. Because very quickly, remember how I mentioned that it wasn't actually his house? So his name wasn't really on the title. And like I knew the guy who owned the house, but not really his last name or his phone number. So quickly I found myself sitting in the back of a police car, handcuffed, sweating through my shirt, like just that line all the way down the back, super sexy for when he got home later, and just bargaining with the police officers, like, listen. So I know I was headed here to do his laundry, but I swear, okay, like, if you just let me out of the car, I will get in my car and I will go home. I will not even ever come back. I promise you, I didn't mention this happened. And strangely, that didn't make me sound any less guilty. And so eventually, after about an hour of sitting in the back of a cop car, they were kind enough not to actually take me to jail until they got in touch with the homeowner. They got in touch with my boyfriend and his friend Bryce, who owned the house, who did tell them that yes, I was not a crazy stalker, I was allowed to be there, and they let me out of the cop car to go back in to continue my but not really wifely duties. John and I broke up about 6 months after that. Apparently I was like really needy and I had some insecurity issues. I did eventually learn two things. The first one being that if you're in a relationship with someone who really is amazing, you probably won't feel like you need to prove you're worthy all the time by breaking into their house. And secondly, if you are going to try to prove that you're worthy, just always go with the sexual favors. It works out way better than pie and pottery.
Sarah Feldman, everybody, number 10. That was great. Ladies, she's breaking down the wisdom. So, write that down if you haven't already. Okay, folks, storyteller.